Hey everyone, gonna make some peppermint meringues today. Basically meringue kisses. These are gonna be small meringues. And if you don't know what a meringue is, it's basically a sweetened whipped egg white. And this specific one is gonna have some peppermints on top. So I have to start with some egg whites. I need 2 egg whites. And you know I always save my shells. Those will go in the garden come spring. These are really fresh eggs, so they're a little bit harder to deal with as far as shells go. Come on. Now I'm going to put my whisk attachment onto my stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer. You can be a really great chef and do this by hand, which I have done before, but boy is that a workout. So gonna give these a whirl. I'm gonna put these on medium for just a few seconds just to kind of get them going, and then I'm gonna turn them up to high and get them until they're foamy, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's them foamy. You see all those bubbles that have been created. So now I need a 1/8 teaspoon of just regular old table salt. And 1/8 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And this is your stabilizer. Okay, now we're going to start back up and we're going to let this go until we have, we'll let this go until we have soft peaks. And then once we have soft peaks, we're going to add our sugar. Okay, so now we're starting to get soft peaks. I don't know if you can see. If you look down in there, see how it's still standing up on its own? It hasn't just completely dropped back down. This is the little peak you have on top. It's not doing a great job of standing up. So now we're going to add a 1/2 cup of sugar, but we're going to add it a little bit at a time while this continues to mix. Now we're going for stiff peaks, and this will probably take 6 or 7 minutes, so be patient. Okay, so we're getting close, so I'm gonna check it. We're getting close. And take a look. You can probably see how shiny and glossy it is down in there now. So we're almost, let's see. I still hear some grit from the sugar, which I don't want that. And when I stand it up, that's the peak I get in comparison to my finger. So we're almost there. I don't want that. I'll show you. I don't want that to drop over as easy as it is. I want it to get a little bit longer first, and you can see a little bit of that sugar grain still in there. Let me turn it the right direction. Okay, let's check again. We don't want to over whip, but we also don't want it under whipped. So you'll feel some resistance when you try to do this. It won't be just easy. Picture this very much like marshmallow is what you're dealing with. So now, see how much better that is? It's much taller, standing up better. So I'm gonna say that we are done. Now Next step is to get all this into my piping bag. So I have my piping bag here. Just a regular old disposable one. I have just a regular wide round tip. It is a Wilton 2A. And I'm going to take this. I've already cut the tip off this bag, so it's open. I'm going to put it down into this glass with the end folded up like this so that nothing falls, nothing starts coming out the other end. This part can be a bit fiddly to get it straight, but it is way easier to try and fill this cup than it is to try and fill that floppy bag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug my mixer, because every now and then, if you're not paying attention, you will accidentally hit a button that is plugged in and you will have a disaster. So we'll get that out of the way. Now, we're going to get this into there. I'm going to go ahead and work the edges up a little bit. Just tapping it down like this and making it go down, because that thick, sticky marshmallow doesn't like to go down in there. All right. And we'll add some more. This is super sticky. Like I said, basically marshmallow at this point. Marshmallow cream, that is. You wouldn't be able to lay it out and cut it. Oh, and I wanted to show you. So this is a little box that I keep all my piping tips in. It's by a company called Ateco, A-T-E-C-O. I don't know if you can see there in the corner. But it has space for most of my piping tips. Sometimes they fall over. Some of the bigger ones don't fit standing up, so I have them lying down. But this is way easier than how I was keeping up with them. So that's that. The next thing, so we have our marshmallow cream here, our meringue mix, and now we need to pipe it onto our trays. So this should be making 32 little kisses. So I need to fit 18 on this tray and 18 on my second tray. So you could, a lot of times people will use things like parchment paper that they've drawn little circles on, and you can do that by all means. I'm not going to be that picky with these. I want them obviously close in size, but I'm not going for identical just because they're homemade. So they're going to be what they're going to be. But you definitely want them similar in size, and that's simply so that they bake the same. Okay, so I have two tips here. I have just a regular round one, which is what I usually use, but I also have this one with little spikes on it, and this is a 4B. And I think I'm going to start with it and see how things go, see what things look like, because the little spikes I'm hoping will allow the peppermints that I'm going to put on top to stick a little better. So let's see what happens. You're going for about teaspoon portions. Mine might be a little small. Okay, so that's the 18 that should be on this tray. I'm obviously making them too small, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep filling in. And we'll just watch these in the oven. Probably use a little less time. This is just a silicone mat that I'm doing this on. And that's simply because you need to put them on something because they will stick. And I just like using the silicone mats. Parchment paper is perfectly fine. Just a greased pan I don't believe would work. Okay, so I'm not doing over here because my silicone mat is a little too large for my pan, so it's bowed up a little bit, and I don't want all my meringues to be crooked as they cook. So I'm not doing those right there. So let me get my other one. Alright, now we'll do a second set. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully I'm not completely blocking your view. If I get more subscribers and start making some money at this, we'll be able to afford some fancy equipment maybe, and I can give you guys better angles. But at the moment, this is simply my cell phone and oops, and a little clip on my kitchen counter, so super high tech. But I'm hoping that it works well for you and that you can hear me well and can see what I'm doing. I will show you when I finish. I will show you closer down so you can see these better. Speaking of that, if you guys would like to help me out, I am trying to hit 100 subscribers by January 1st. I'm currently at 29. And if you like what you see, would like to see more, I would love for you to subscribe and hang around. Help us build a community. This winter will mainly be things like this. Baking, holiday season, and then I'll probably start getting into some home reno stuff. I have a 114-year-old home that I'm trying to finish renovating so I can get it on the market and get it sold and start a new adventure. So there will be quite a few projects coming up with that. And then, of course, we'll start thinking about the gardening season, and we'll start picking out our seeds and getting our everything together. Still have some things to go over with you guys about that stuff. But, yeah, I would appreciate it if you would hang around. If you know someone else who would be interested, then please, by all means, share with them as well. So I think what I'm going to do, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I still have quite a bit of this marshmallow left. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do some on this angle and see how they do. we have a couple funky ones, my roommate will not be sad about eating them. These are her favorite and are always requested this time of year. Oop. I forgot I have to hold that second tip on. I will say I like the decorative tip a lot more than just the plain one. It's given it a lot more character. Alright, slide that over here. Get the first one back. And then I'm going to show you how I decorate these and how they become peppermint meringues. The best part about meringues is that, or at least this kind, is that when they're finally done in the oven, they're done. There's nothing else to do to them. You've already decorated them. All you have to do is figure out a cute way to store them or present them, and you're good to go. I'd like to try the Christmas tree versions of these. So stay tuned. I may attempt those. Alright, so I still have some marshmallow left. So we're just going to leave that. And now I have to take my crushed candy canes, which I put these, this was 3 candy canes like this, that I broke in half and peeled the paper off. That's the easiest way I find to peel them. And then I put them in a bag, in a plastic bag, and I crushed them with the meat mallet. And so now they're nice and fine, and I'm going to sprinkle them all over everybody. And a lot of it will make it on the mat and not on there, but your temperature is so low that they won't burn in the oven, so you don't have to worry about that. You can buy crushed peppermint sometimes this time of year in some of the stores, so you can keep an eye out for that if you want to do it that way. You obviously can also keep these completely plain. I'm not a big peppermint fan, so for me, I would want these plain, but everyone who I make things for likes them peppermint, so I make them that way. Let's these over here, and we'll get this one all straight. If you know of a more efficient way to do this, I'd love to know. This is the only thing I've found that works. And you can crush these, what are they called? You can crush these candy canes up more if you would like to. You can make them more of a powder. Some of these pieces are a little big, but that's because I was just crushing them organically. I didn't put them in any kind of machine. So I got some tiny dust and some larger pieces. Alright, so I'm going to sprinkle a little more of the dust part so that you have that peppermint flavor. Okay, now let me bring you down so that you can see. Oof. All right, this is what we're looking at. Let's see if it'll focus. So see how they are super glossy, like this one right here especially. See how shiny that is? That's what you're looking for. You want it really shiny. And that's showing that you whipped it enough. See how they have the little peaks still standing up? And those will bake and be super cute. Okay, so these are going to go in my oven, which is already preheated at 225 degrees Fahrenheit. They will go in there for 90 minutes. Maybe a little less because these are small. So I'm going to check them at 75 minutes and see what they look like. You do not want them to get brown at all. You're not looking for them to turn brown. You're just looking for them to firm up and dry out a bit. Okay, so I'm going to get them in the oven. Okay, so let's have a look at them in the oven. They've been in here for 1 hour now. And what I want to be able to do is just lift this right off the bottom without anything sticking behind. So these are done, but now what I have to do is leave this closed, and they are going to cool down. I'm going to turn the temperature off, and they are going to cool down in there until at least for an hour, but until the oven has cooled down. But this one, I'll show you if I can see it. You can see, I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear how tight, how crunchy that is on the outside? You see it's still a little bit shiny. The peppermint has stuck to it. And then if I show you the inside, so the bottom has just a little tiny bit of brown on it. And it's soft on the bottom, so it's still going to be more like a marshmallow rather than completely crumbling up and being sugar powder. So they're going to cool, and then I'm going to get them out, get them off the mats, and store them in an airtight container. It is very important that you store them in an airtight container because they will absorb any moisture or lack thereof in your house. So they'll either become too soft or they'll become very brittle. But yeah, so that's what you're looking for. You don't refrigerate these. They are completely shelf stable and good to go just like they are.